Okay, so now we're on page. Okay, so let me second. 1 second. Okay, so it says like this: of the bircha she'asa nisim. So the first bracha, there's a reference to the concept in the gematrias that he prayed, or the kavanah that you have, is to put the av in milui with the ekya in milui, and that comes out to the gematria of regel, which tells you that there's a regel in this, and he brings a raya from the pasuk until the point where there's no regel in the shuk. So exactly how that works, I don't know all the mystery of that. And you join together, so now you have another one. You take the name Sag, and you join it together with the name Elohim, the Sag, Yekavin Shehu B'nikud Elokim, but you have to have that idea in it that is menukad like Elokim, Obebircha Shehechiyanu, Yekavin Ba'osa Rabavaya Shehi B'milu Ma, Dolafim, V'yechaber Himeru Shem Adni, and you put it together, the name Adni. Now the next one here that I have is has a little blurb at the top, our intro. It says, "Is boyer kavanas atevas lahadlik bepratos." Now we want to get to this word lahadlik. So he says, the bracha b'rishonu k'moshe amarno. So let's go back to the original bracha, the first bracha that we said. Kibitechila, the kaveh b'milas lahadlik. You had this idea in this bracha. On the word lahadlik. What's the big deal? What do we know about lahadlik? Shehu b'gematria shlosha chavayas, which are asam. So asam together is a gematria 180. But the kavod lahamshich shlosha chavayas. So the concept is when you say lahadlik. Now the hadlik is really to start the fire. So to start the fire, but the kavod lahamshich shlosha chavayas agid hadloka zu. So the idea is you're taking the hadloka. I'm just trying to think how the metaphor works. I'm doing the best I can to see how this metaphor is that the hadloka is the concept of bringing down the asam. He said el hanukva hanikva the ben until, so it's the old concept, but that's the idea when you go to light the lights. The idea is you're going to join this whole thing together, which are going to give you the gematria of Ralov. Now, again, what to do with all of that, this is what he says, that's what to do, that's the cookbook. So it says, Yizbar Kavanas Ateva Ner Bepratos. Now let's talk about the word Ner. And so we know some things about Ner from other places. So with the word Ner, we should have this Kavana. That it should be completed. With the 3 Yehudim that he mentioned up above. Now, for me, I forgot which 3 he mentioned. So I have a little note that says, V'az ta'asech hanuk b'chinas ner Chanukah, she'ayidech ha'shemes ha'nimshachim's law, which is asam, she'olnu k'mizbar lahadlik, that has the gematria of lahadlik, so that has a lahadlik, and the idea is to take the hadlik, which is lighting a candle, which is bringing a flame up, na'ase b'chinas ner Chanukah, she'ner b'gematria called the shlosha chayudim kamo, shenizbar. So we put all of them three together, as we're going to get into a little bit more. That's what I had over there. So let's see, where was that? That was number 9. From Oz to Asa Bechinas Ner Chanukah. So we know that the Ner is a shul of, just going over what I remember what I remember is that it's Havaya Ekya, it's Havaya Elokim, Havaya Adni is a gematria of 250, which is Ner. Shehu b'minyan shloshach Yehudim Mineska, which is the concept of these 3 Yehudim. We said v'tis yachad im baila b'shloshach Yehudim Mineskarim. So now you take the 3 Yehudim, and you're also joining that to her baila. In other words, it's zachar v'nuk again. Now my blurb says yizboyer kavanah shem HAKODESH nachal v'ofen kavanaso, in the way that we should have its kavanah. So what's this word nachal? Now let's look at something else. The Rosh Tevis lahadlik ner Chanukah, those three Rosh Tevis, who Shem Kadosh. It's actually a Shem Kadosh, a Nikra. I'm not sure if I should pronounce it. Nun Ches Lamed. A Yotzim Rosh Tevis Notzer Chesed Lolofim. So let's see. He wants to compare Notzer Chesed Lolofim, which is a concept of Chesed, of giving. Notzer Chesed Lolofim, and he says that compares to the Rosh Tevis of the word Lahadlik Ner Chanukah is what bringing down Chesed. I guess I'm just saying this is what comes to my mind. Hayotzim Rosh Tevis Notzer Chesed Lolofim, and then he goes over here and he says Kanoidim. So V'inyanuhu. So the idea is like this. Or hanimshach min ima lezer anpin. Let's talk about this. The law that's coming into zer anpin. He says or, not ha'ara or. Kadei sheyeh bo koach lehisyachas dima b'shloshach hayechudim in his karim, so that it should be possible for those three yechudim to take place. So he says ashehem begematria ner, which come into gematria of ner. Now I just want to see it one more time. He says kadei sheyeh bo koach. So what is the Ema brings into Zer Anpin in order to be able to give him the strength to make the Yehudim, right? It's the three Havayas. Three Havayas is Zer Anpin, HaYehudim, with these other aspects, which are the female aspects. So which are, once again, Ekia, Elokem, and Adni. And this kind of Shehem Begematria Ner. So therefore this word nachal should be a kavanah that is in what you're doing. Shehu b'gematria chavaya dema delofim, which is what is nachal anyway, which is a gematria. I think it's, let me see, 88. 88. It's 58 and 30 is 88, and he says shegematria chavaya dema delofim. That's 45. V'os aleph shebe'emsa, so if you take the aleph that's in the middle of that ma, which we've seen other places, in the milui of vav is vav aleph vav, choyu shem aki, which you fill in the name eki in there, but ekia in a revua form, like yud. So he said first you have the milui, and he shows it to you like this: yud k, then the vav has an akia in it. And he shows you the Ekia in a Milui form, and then it goes, and it finishes out Vav K. Kishem Zecha V'mora Inyan Ima HaMe'ira B'zer Anpen Hislavish B'sochel. So here you see that the Revua represents that represents the transfer. You're really looking Panemistig. You're looking at the transfer of the Shefa that's coming from Ima through her Revua, through the Revua of Ima, into Zer Anpen. Kishem Zecha V'mora Inyan Ima HaMe'ira B'zer Anpen Hislavish B'sochel, that she's clothed with inside of him. And now we'll turn it, we got onto this word nachal, which reminds me that Rabbi Nachman is called the Nachal Novea, Makar Chochma. So he says, Gam came shachal nachal l'nizkar shulchan chavaya dema of the socha revua, and then you have this revua, which once again the revua reveals to the shefa coming from Ima of Ekia. Yam Shech Benuk Adnikra Bavaya de Ben. All of this is going to ultimately wind up in the Nook, which is the Vaya de Ben. Asher Osiosecha Shebemilui Amilui. So if you take the Milui of Chavaya de Ben, Asher Osiosa Shebemilui Amilui Haim Lamed Vav Osis, there's 36 letters. Okay, let's see what we could do with this. Ben, so take Ben. That's where it's going, right? And the Lamed Zion, he says that is Ben plus its milui, the milui of its of the number of letters of the milui. Heim gam came begematria nachal also comes out to be gematria of nachal. Bein is zocher im shemati zere memorizah. But I don't remember if I heard this from Morizah. Now, I just want to take a moment and see if I can make anything out of this, out of the metaphor that he's trying to make here. He says, Asher osios secha milui and milui, there are lamed vav osios, he says in the milui of Ben. And so he says, if you take ben and its milui, now what exactly is a milui? What function does it have? What does it do? Hem gam came begematria nachal. It comes back to this again. So I don't have anything more to add to that. Ve'enu zocher, ve'eni zocher, and I don't really remember im shemati zecher v'marizal. That's what he says. Finishing up. Okay, now going to the next one. He says, Yeboher kavonas ateva Chanukah bepratos. Let's get to the word Chanukah. What's pshat over there? Achar kach b'milas Chanukah. Let's take that word. Tekavin ki kamo shehamshach noch ARI me'ima al zer anpin b'shem nachal. So he says in this name, wait a minute, he's really adding something onto that. He says ki kamo shehamshach the hamshacha. Well, we understand what's going on with the nachal. A nachal is a spring or a brook. It's a running brook. So he says ki kamo shehamshacha ARI me'ima al zer anpin b'shem nachal. That's the hamshacha. Kadeshi, and he gave us some ideas. I mean, if I thought about this a lot more, maybe I could figure out better metaphors to understand how he put that together with the ben and the lamed vav, and it comes out to be gematria nachal, which we understand is a name that actually is probably put out by the standard 72 names. Kain atach nimshach havaya the sag. So now over here, I'm getting lost a little bit. Let's go back a little bit. In order to be able to make the yichud. Because now we're coming to the vaya desag shal ima, which is coming from ima. Which is, I think this means, it's the gematria of 63. He says, im cheshbon osius, with the count of the letters themselves. Pasha Levado Shahu Kof Vav, which is the Pasha is 626. So now that takes 26, which is the Pasha, and Sag, which is the Milui of the Pasha. Begimatria, it comes to the number of Chanukah, which is almost the same number as the number Nachal, which this is like Nachal with a kola. So this is the Hamshacha. We're going to bring Tam Shecheno, this being poured into the Nok HaNikras Ner, who is called the Ner. Now, all of this really could be thought about again as I read it one more time. But Yedei Kain Tihya Ner Chanukah, and this is the way it becomes the light of Chanukah. So he says once again, I have to read this last part. Let's just see, Ve'im Cheshbon Osius, if you take the number of letters. Pasha Levada Shahu Kof Vav. You have Kof Vav and you have Sag. Begematria Chanukah. That's Chanukah. So those two have to do with Chanukah. And so this Chanukah, which is the concept of your kavana, is to take the Pasha and the Milui of Sag, and put that together, and you're going to bring that down. That's what's going into the Nuk, who is the Ner. A Nikras Ner, or maybe he means the Hamshacha is the Nikras Ner. By Yedei Kain Tihya Ner Chanukah. Okay, it's a little knotted up over there. That could be easily explained, probably. So let's go on. Od Yakava B'midas Chanukah. So also the thick of the word Chanukah. Al Masha Amr Chachamei Nizal, that what the rabbi said, Hu Osius Chanukah. So you have these two. You could break it up like that. What do you get out of Chanukah? So Chanukah, he said, so Kof He Osius, which goes with the last Chanukah. Sheyesh Beshisha Shemos, that actually, if you add up Havaya Ekya, Havaya Kelokim, Havaya Adni, the number of letters over there is going to be 25. So this is also part of what you should have, is that 25 of the word Chanukah. Now, I didn't get the first part, Chanu, which is Gematria 58 and 6 is 61. I don't know what that does yet. Let's keep going on because we're still reading. Okay, so we're going now to the next one, which says, Yizboyer Kavanas Bracha Shniya Sh'ason Nisim Bepratos. Let's talk about this. He says the Bracha Shniya Shuhu Sh'ason Nisim B'mila Sh'asa Dekavin Shuhu Chibur Shin Ayin Shin Hey. Now, I remember this from previous years to see how it goes together. He said, because that's the sha'asa. So he said, that's a way to spell it, sheya'ase, like that. So he said, a pirush, shetekavin lahamsha ka'aras aponim elyonim. So what's the idea of sha'asa? You should have the idea that you're going to stream down, pour down, ha'aras aponim elyonim, the light that comes from the upper faces. So Hishahem Shnei Shemos Kale Miluehem. Now let's go back. What is Kale? He says, Shekavin the Haras Haponim Elyonim is come from the name Kale. So he said that we know that the two they could be like the two sideburns, one on each side. There's two Kales. Miluehem, which is 185 kazan, and he spells it out for us. He says, Ha'olim begematria shin ayin, so you put 185, you get to 370. So that's easy enough. Kanizka ba'orach b'tefidus Rosh Hashanah b'bracha berchus avos b'bidus elokei Abraham elokei Yitzchak elokei Yaakov v'ayin sham. So that could be interesting, but we're not there. V'tamshichem el shem elokem. And what's the idea here? Is you're going to take this and you're going to pour them, extend them, into the name Elokem, the Milu Yudin She'ola B'Gematria Shin. So now we got another letter. So you're going to take the Shin Ayin of Sha'asa, and you're going to pour that into this Shin, which is the Milui of Elokem. Now what's Elokem? It's a Lashon Nuk. It's a Lashon Dinim also. V'im He Osius, if you take the 5 Osius, the Peshutos, and then the Hey, Hare Shin Hey. So you take the 5 letters together. There you got your Shin Hey Min Sha'asa. So now you have the word Sha and Sa, or however you want to pronounce them. And that's the idea there. So all as we see, in Kabbalah, every place, that the idea is to bring sweetness into a world of difficulty. Let's go to Lamed Tes. Od Kavana Babircha Shni Bracha Shni Sha'asa Nisim. So here's something else we might want to look at. He says, Od Yirtzas. I'll tell you this. Yinyan Shnei Shemos Elu Shel Kale. Those. Haim Sot Havaya the Sag. Now how is that? That they're the secret of the Havaya the Sag. He said, we said that actually you could say in the word Chanukah, it's the gematria ko and Sag. Sag 63, so those all add up. He says, so how does this work out? So ko is the Havaya Pashut. And then Uba Milui, and also the Milui, but the Milui of Sag, the Pashut hu Kale. So we say that in the Pashut, it comes to the gematria of Kale. So he says, why? So how does that work out? He said, Ki cheshbonu hu ko. So if you want to just count it up, it's 26. That's a regular Havaya. V'dalad osioseho, and then you have the 4 letters. V'chakolel hare Kale. So he wants to say that this is like an internal connection between Kale and the name Havaya. So he said V'gam, but let me tell you something else. He says V'gam b'meluim desag. If you count up just the milui desag, so just look at it. He says, look at it. Yesh bo osius yud aleph yud. So other than so it has 3 yuds and an aleph in it. Shul b'gematria Kale. Ve'elech v'shnech v'shemel Kale. So now we have 2 names of Kale. Mispaleim of a hem b'gematria Shin Ayin. And we said we need to take the milui of a Kale. You get 185, and times 2. There's 2 of them. You get Shin Ayin. Min sha'asa kaniska, the el below nimsa tishlo madrashlo. That sounded good. It started off really interesting, but it says I forgot the rest of it. Od Masatse, he said below nimsa tishlo madrashlo. He didn't say I forgot it. He said I never found the end of this drush. Hakdama be'inyan Tikkun Zoon. So here's something we want to talk about Tikkun Zoon, because that's that's the ball of wax. The buyer Inyan Ner Shabbos v'Ner Chanukah, and I'm going to explain that. So he says, Od Matzatze b'Sefer Acher al Inyan Chanukah. B'Sechel L'Shon, this is what it says, Da. Kimasha anatzrika the sakin who zivug Zoon. This is what our ultimate purpose is. V'yesh kamba bechidas. There's a whole bunch of different aspects to this. Kimosha ha'atzilus yesh bo shlosha chalokim. What is that? What are the three chalokim in Atzilus? V'hu kutzu shal yud. So he says this seems to be a non sequitur, but I thought it was. V'hu kutzu shal yud, which is the top of the yud, just the upper point of the yud. Vein masigim bo ela machitzoni shabo. So the only part of that yud that you could reach is the lowest part, which is the hitzoniest part. The rest of it is out of reach. Shuhu hakar kafta, which goes up to the skull of Kesser. Let me get a drink here. So shuhu hakar kafta ha'etzem hamakif hamochin, which that's what the karka, if the karkafta is. Veino ela halvush, and it's only a lavush. Zech lavush bilvad on a masigi. Now that's the concept. He's saying that the skull, which has a lot in it, the skull is actually the outside of the kutz of the yud, of the letter yud. So now let's go to the mochin, which are inside of the head of, let's say, we'll talk about Zeranpin, or I don't know. So which are the Chabad? Ube'elu, and these, Anum Masigin Apinimius Atzman, and for these we see the inside themselves. Vafal Pishahem Shlosha, that even though there are three of them, Kulun Tuluya Ba'aba, they all depend on Abba, V'nikra al Shemo, and they're called by his name, Ki Stam Muach Hu Ba'aba, because the concept of Muach, he says, really comes from Abba. I'm not sure that it really followed with that. It seemed like a little bit of a non sequitur. I want to read it one more time, see if I just was lost. So they're looking at the mochin of the sas of elu anu masigim b'penimius atzman. Oh, that's where I got lost. And with these, when you get down below this tip of the yud, you get down into Abba Ve'ima, which is the yud itself, and I guess you asked the first hey. Aval pi shehem shlosha, even though and also das, which could be the vav. Aval pi shehem shlosha, even though there are three of them, kulun tuluyim ba'abba, they're all really hanging down Abba. If you don't have an Abba, none of the rest of them appear. V'nikra al shemo, so therefore they're all kind of abadik. Kistam muach hu ba'abba. Okay, it's a new idea. That's time today. I'm going to wedding tonight. I'm really on a roll here. And so we're having a good time, though. And listen, God should comfort you, Rebbe. And thank you for learning with me.